Watch the two reps come in now.
Yeah. Ken's down there. He can run the show.
Hello. I don't know how to.
Okay.
Doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole.
Hello, we're still trying to figure all the technical stuff out, so sorry here. Sarah stepped
I'm
in.
gonna make a
We're working on it.
and I'll get back to you.
fun. Justin,
Sean, can you hear us now?
No, it's this
It was this morning.
with Bruce.
Bruce Bragg, yes.
Yeah. And the word got around real fast.
Well,
Yeah,
on Facebook.
wonderful breakfast.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
It's
it
really
really
hard,
slows
too.
life down, you know.
It does, and I agree with that, 100%.
Of course, I had horses a lot when I was growing up. And that was on my bucket list, but out of the vet bills, and all the work.
Yeah, it's kind of like this.
Peter, your
Not
kid
gonna
wouldn't
work.
leave me alone for his medal.
I mean, he's like.
It was very cute.
Deserved a medal.
He won
Well set
first
for
place
right now,
in
and
the mile
house is
race
completely
yesterday
set up
at
with
Burke
another
for the K through 4.
That's an
So-
important medal, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he won
yeah.
first, and actually one of the girls here won second, and so she would then got the first place for the girls, so that was really cool.
Cool.
But they had to leave. Then he had a soccer team or soccer game right afterwards, so I took it. He's like, "Can I have it?" It's first thing this morning.
You gotta go run a mile again.
Randy and I brought it to him.
We're sorry we had to run away.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, you gotta run more.
We needed him.
We felt bad, but like he was so excited to play in the game that he just wanted to be with the guys, and he was like, "Come on, let's go."
I was there. It was no big deal. All right.
All right. So we're after 6. I think everybody's here. We finally made sure everybody could get in that couldn't get in before. So I think we can start. A little bit smaller group this week.
We got a quorum or do we need a quorum?
We do have a quorum. So we have Melissa and Dave here, both, and then Sarah's here, and then we have 4 members of the community. Well, we have 6 members of the community. So we are good to go. I think excellent. Perfect. So top I guess business of this, I didn't put it in the agenda. Gary Farrow has resigned from this group, and so he will not be joining us going forward. He felt that there's too many unknowns to make a decision at this point. That's as much as I understood, but that's yeah. So that's so now we have an odd number, I guess, which is good for both. Oh, are you taking notes, Katie? Oh, thank you so much. So Katie took notes.
Page down already.
No, that's the agenda.
Oh, all right.
Started one down. Yeah, so last meeting a couple weeks ago, we had a bunch of members in from the community that raised some concerns. A lot of general tax concerns, and there were some questions that were outstanding that we'll get to a little bit later. Specifically, some concerns about how much everybody else is paying around us, that the towns around us couldn't bear this, et cetera, et cetera. There's also some questions about tax impact on Joe's Pond, et cetera, et cetera. So there were a couple other outstanding items, and I don't have the minutes right in front of me. I forgot to print them out. But I think there were a couple of questions that you were looking at as well. So one was enrollments, which I know Robert Egger is digging up his work and looking into that for us. So hopefully we'll have that in the near future. And is there anything else?
The other one, Gary had asked a question about the education impact, and we have not yet gotten a response back from Truex. So I will follow up with them again. And then it was the tax pieces that we don't have an answer to quite yet.
Yep. Excellent.
Can I make one comment about the enrollment thing?
Yes.
The state of Vermont does have a dashboard from enrollment back to like 2016.
Yes. So we've got And actually
Find the
Dave brought it with
messages.
him. We've got the enrollment, but this was more like the projection
Okay.
forward that
Gotcha.
Robert's working on, and Dave's got.
Okay, so forward
Forward
projection
projection.
enrollment, not
Yes.
past. Okay,
Yeah.
The
I-
forward projections.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I just counted faces in the yearbook. And when there wasn't anybody from below the 7th grade, I just doubled what number they had.
Mhm.
Is this appropriate to talk about it now?
Sure, yeah.
So when you add in an average of what, 25 pre-K?
I mean, now I don't know then. Did we have full-time pre-K?
Mm.
I would say I would say it's about 22. Would be
Okay.
a good average.
And yeah, this was printed out last minute. It was supposed to be in color and it was supposed to be a lot more presentable and however, this is what you get.
Okay.
If you don't mind passing those around, I apologize for.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. These are the yearbooks that, and again, I've got a yearbook from too many years and some that are missing, and I apologize for not hitting the ones that were missed, but these are the ones that the school has in the library. If you look at,
I don't know.
right, no, so the ones they don't have are missing from here. And
They're in the
I went
off-
from,
We store them in the office. So
Okay.
Because he used to store them, yeah, all
most of them are in the office.
the way back to 38.
Mhm.
so I took the 20-year period that that I thought the school had the highest enrollment. And some of these classes, you know, in the mid to low 40s, really shows that there is the possibility of being more than the 450, which the number that was quoted or estimated that the school would, a new school, be able to handle. I just want to make sure that there's enough room. If we're going to present an option, would the brand new school be enough? Or let's say it's not enough, would option 2 be enough? And it's all on how many kids are going to come to this school. I know the numbers are lower than some of these here. These numbers here did not factor in any pre-K kids, so I did factor in an additional 25 to be able to get the number to what it could possibly be today for today's real life numbers. And there's 3 years that are over 450. And the purpose for this is just making sure that we have the option will fit the number of kids that we could possibly have. Would we pick up a third pre-K? It's possible. And there's another 14 or 15 kids.
Yeah, I think that's where getting Robert's finalized forward-looking numbers based
Oh, yeah.
on. I know this is great to have both of them. So I think then looking at both of them together will be really good.
And for the record, Robert did birth rates, birth rates and birth rate projections.
Yeah.
But now that a lot of babies that live in this area are born in Littleton, so he actually figured that. It's absolutely amazing work. And whatever that report says, that's,
Yeah,
that's what we should really go by.
And I
It's-
think he calculates into the change in family size. I was born.
Absolutely.
I was born in this prediction, and I'm from a family of 6, and that's not as common anymore.
We need to move your families into Danville.
So,
Excellent. Yeah, and I guess for option 3, a new school that can be sized to fit anything that we need it to. But I know that options 1 and 2 were certainly built with 450, I think, in mind as the upper limit. Yeah, well,
But it's good if you build a new school, that you have a master plan. It
absolutely.
says it can be expanded in this direction.
Mhm.
No, but in our existing one, we didn't do that long ago.
Right. That is,
But, and the, or either option will have an audit. You could have an auditorium, which we didn't have. We just used a gym and had a big stage on it.
Mhm.
There is a lot more specialized areas, whether it's for physical therapy or special ed or something like that. That was a very small footprint in this school. I know up until when I was here.
yeah, I was surprised to see the special ed budget has doubled essentially in the last 5 years here, which is kind of surprising. I was digging back through Old Town reports to find tax info, so it was an interesting thing. But yeah, this is great stuff, and certainly something that we'll want to keep in mind, especially as we get more from Robert's numbers. I think Robert's original projection in 2018 had 420 students, I think, by 2029, 2030, something like that. I have to double check, but it was in that ballpark that there was some growth on it. But yeah, we will see what that looks like coming out. So the next, unless anybody else has any comments on enrollment. The next bit is we want to circle back to community engagement, and after hearing so much from the community last week, what else do we feel like we still need to learn? Can we simplify these options for them in a way? For example, can we take a look at options 1 and 2 and throw one out, or 1, 2, 3 and throw one out? That's and maybe make this a little bit easier of a discussion when we have the broader community come in and start asking questions. I guess I'll pose that question to the ether here and then see what I get back. Yeah, Dave.
So the school board has voted that school choice is not going to be an option.
Yep.
So I heard on the last meeting that a few times, and that is not an option. Twice we've gone through an extensive study, and it costs more to pay tuition than it does to have a working school here. But you could say, if you tuition everybody, you would have to think that every room, all the lights in the high school area are not turned on. None of them would be cleaned or nothing like that, because it's like you make that part of the school disappear. But when people suggest, well, we could expand a middle school, like a regional middle school, well, then your money's going up again, because now you're using the rooms that were used. You're hiring more teachers. So to make the high school disappear to do a school choice is going to cost a fortune, and the school board has decided that's not even up for discussion.
Yep.
So, but if the group wants to make a suggestion to the board, that's fine, Bill.
Yeah, John?
I'm assuming everybody got the email that Clayton sent out. Okay, so I just want to quote a couple things in here because I think it relates to this question. Mark Tucker said in his letter that our assignment is to make a recommendation based on the best interest of educating our students over the next 30 to 40 years, and to leave it to the board to decide the path forward and how to finance and sell the project to the wider community. Any work that has been undertaken independently by the advisory committee to understand the financing mechanism, either as a group or by interested individuals on their own violation, is a task they should lay aside. And then Clayton says in his email, you are simply to consider the impact on the students and the designs of the buildings from the perspective of finding the best overall choice from the three options. And he said at our upcoming November 1st meeting, the board will act formally on the superintendent's recommendation to refocus the assignment of the group. I urge you to do so immediately and not wait for formal board action. So if that's what we're supposed to be doing is that, and we're supposed to make a decision based on those three options, based solely on what would be the best option for the students without considering anything else, then it is hands down a brand new school. Now, having said that, you know, whether this community can afford to pay it or what that will happen is, we're being told, is a board thing to do.
Yeah.
Not for the advisory group. So where I'm looking at this and coming in, when we first started in on this, I thought financing was going to be part of this because, you know, Mark made a presentation, and also we were told how taxes were divided in the town. But if the board is going to be brought, you know, focusing right down to those three things, and that's the only decision we have to make, and it's only in the best interest of the students, then it's a no-brainer. And it really makes me wonder why we continue to meet.
Yeah.
Because there's really no reason to do that if that's the only thing we're supposed to do. I could have made that decision August 31st and not sat for 2 months, because that 5 minutes, I'm done with it. And you know, it's to me, it's kind of like saying, okay, you've done this for 2 months, but now let's stop. And if we're only going to make that decision, it's a brand new school.
Yeah, we're done.
And we're done. And there's really nothing else for us to do from what I'm reading here. And if the board is going to make that decision November 1st, I don't see a reason why we continue to meet. And I'm not throwing a stone at what they're doing. It's just simply I kind of feel for 2 months we've been doing this and going through it, the discussion. I do think, I wasn't here for the October 5th meeting, but I read the notes. I didn't watch the video. But it seemed like there was a lot of participation and questions. And to me, it was, you know, outreaching was like you were educating some of these people as to what these options were. And I thought that was a positive thing. I didn't know what the outcome was or the tone because I didn't watch it. But to me, it was, oh, geez, we got a lot more people coming. Isn't that a good thing? And then this hit, and I'm going, okay, there's really nothing more for us to do. And from my standpoint, it's a slam. I mean, I said to somebody the other day when I was doing my lister's job, I said the ideal situation when this person was talking to me was you build a brand new school, you keep the high school, and the taxes don't go up. If you do that, it's a slam dunk. So the financing is by far, and we're being told by the superintendent and the chair that we shouldn't be talking about that. So therefore, when we're talking about enrollment, or we're talking about financing, or we're talking about tax rate, that is not something we're supposed to be doing. And so therefore, I would be saying that there's not a lot of reason to continue. I mean, I would vote, what's the best option for the kids? I don't want to put the kids through renovating for 2 to 3 years and all the disruption and everything like that. I would vote for a new school. Problem is, can the town pay for it? And that's not a function of this group. So therefore, I'm saying we should just take the straw bowl and say, what's the best option? We'll all vote for the new school and we'll all go home because there's nothing else to do.
That's fair.
That's thinking from reading this is what I was saying. And I'm not throwing a stone at these people for writing what they did. I'm simply saying if the board is going to refocus on November 1st on this issue, and that's our sole consideration, then there's no reason to continue to have an building advisory committee, because it's a clear slam dunk. I have a grandson coming into, goes to this school. I would far prefer a new school to be built and him go to this school and then move into that school when it's done. And we're not supposed to talk about whether, the other issues that I was reading about high schools, this or that, or what are all those things, which is fine. So my feeling is we vote, move, let go.
But we've got to option 3 there. And it
Which is option
includes
3 is,
a brand new school.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And that includes the old existing school stand. Now, I agree with your argument on that.
Yeah, it should be torn down.
I think everything ought to be removed.
Yeah.
And maybe have a monument out there or something, but yeah.
I would
revise the option 3 and then
I would
on the
move
3.
that option 3 be accepted with the provision that they tear down everything.
Yeah,
And we've done our job.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I've learned a lot in this coming in,
Mhm.
but if this is where we're going to be tasked to do, we don't need to wait until November 1st to do it.
Yeah.
So I've said my piece. Now I'm done.
Who was you? I'm sorry, I walked in late.
John Blackmore.
John Blackmore.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And I just came in late on this. Allison Despacki. And so are you guys just sort of getting going with this? I just missed a little bit. It sounds like you're jumping over everything and saying we're not supposed to talk about this stuff.
Well,
we're
no,
supposed to
we
vote.
received an email from Clayton Cargill.
Yeah, I did hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, who sent an email, and what he said is you are simply to consider the impact on the students and the designs of the building from this perspective of finding the best overall choice from the 3 options. There's 3 options in there. And it says,
So they didn't ever want public input essentially?
no, they did, but
Okay.
what they're saying here is our assignment, this is from the superintendent, is to make a recommendation based on the best interest of educating our students over the next 30 to 40 years, and to leave it to the board to decide the path forward and how to finance and sell the project to the wider community. Any work that has been undertaken independently by the advisory committee to understand the financing mechanisms, either as a group or by interested individuals of their own violation, is a task they should lay aside.
So essentially the 3 options were presented as it's one of these, pick it, you guys decide, this is the deal.
Well, we're not going to make the
price
decision.
tag was also included in that discussion.
Yeah.
But he's
And I do know the 3
saying,
options.
he's saying in this, don't consider the financing. All we're supposed to do is consider what is in the best interest of educating the students over the next 30 to 40
Are you
years.
talking Mr. Tucker or Mr. Cargill?
Mr. Tucker, he says that in there. It's the financing is
Not to be considered.
not to be considered.
But
Right.
they really have to be.
No,
considered.
Sure, but not by
it's-
us. They're
No, I
saying,
understand that, but
By
essentially,
the
I think
board.
every single one of us, or every single one of the board voting essentially would say, of course, build a new school, bring it on. This is like the best deal off, of course,
yes.
right? But then you hit the reality point of like, you can't really uncouple that conversation from the financial conversation because there's obviously going to be hesitation from the community members of like, but who is paying for this?
And I agree with everything you said.
Mhm.
But what they're saying
I
is,
totally hear you. But
is
the
that's
other
the
last thing
board
I'd
and not
say is-
us.
So then it becomes very simple to say, well, the advisory board agreed that this was our best option.
No,
For
Is
the
that what everyone
kids.
is
For the
agreeing to?
kids.
For the
For the
kids.
kids, of
I'm not
course.
saying it's the best option for the town.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That's a different question.
It is a different question, but
Yeah.
shouldn't both be addressed?
But the.
But not by us.
That's
This
up
is
to
The
the
school board has final.
They're saying,
say,
saying,
and
they're
they're gonna
saying,
deal with it.
what Clayton said in his email is at our upcoming November 1st meeting, the board will act formally on the superintendent's recommendation, refocus on the assignment of the group. I urge you to do so immediately and not wait for formal board action.
Mhm.
So what they're saying in here is
Maybe I don't totally-
and if that's the decision we have to, the only decision we have to make, I could have voted that on August 31st, 5 minutes in, saying the best decision for the kids is a brand new school, building the school over there. And then when it's done, you move everybody in, you tear this down, including the 1937 building, and don't renovate it. And then put whatever you have in here.
So it seemed like last week, and I'm sorry if just, maybe I'm missing something, someone let me know if I'm misinterpreting. Last week, there was also sort of conversation on an additional plan for option 4 and option 5. So now we're just back to like 1, 2, 3.
We have 1, 2, or 3. That is what was sent to us via email and also by the superintendent. So the chair of the board has said, we have these 3 options to consider. And we have only the best interests of the students to consider.
And what about then, and I totally am getting that one, but I'm just also wondering like next step. So if they come back and they agree, like, yes, we agree with the advisory board that this is the deal, then is there a next step of, okay, here's the funding we have, and the people.
It's going to the board.
The board will decide.
Yeah,
the next
Allison,
steps.
that's
The
totally
board.
in the
It's
hands
totally
of
in
the
the
board.
board.
right. So you have your 2 questions
Yeah.
that we answer the kid question, the
Mhm.
board answers the town question. So the rest of that is in the hands of the board, because we could make a recommendation and they could say, we don't agree,
And the town
and
has
go
to
with
vote
something
this.
totally
So
different
it is.
anyways.
People
Kind of.
vote on
Right,
Yeah.
I saw that one.
They just
right,
can't do it.
Right.
The other
Now-
side of
But
this
they're
too is,
just to be basically working
Yeah.
out all of the funding and then come up with their plan and then the vote town votes.
yeah,
on
so
it.
so there's a lot of next steps to even get to how much the funding actually is, because those drawings are not like, that's not like the actual funding
It's
that we're
not.
gonna need. Like, that's not the numbers that we're gonna vote on, or the sort of
No.
initial ones. They're gonna have, an architect's gonna have to go out and do the work, and then it'll be a process from there, but it won't be, we give a recommendation and they say, all right, giddy up, and then it's on the ballots in November or whatever. Like there's a process here where the
Yeah.
architects
Takes
have
over a
to
year.
go through that. So there's still a lot of input to give,
Will
which
the
I
public
believe is.
know prior, once they sort through the funding options? Is the public sort of going to be made aware of that?
Melissa will have to talk to you.
We'll be at the board meeting.
The board meetings are
Yeah.
public.
We have to go to the board meeting instead of this
So all
committee. I
of
think,
that will be.
I think we just got handcuffed, is what I think.
And the other part of it,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
we did.
we did, right?
I
But
really
the other
did.
part is, then, is there gonna be like clarity and sort of a solid numbers to work with, or is it gonna be sort of theoretical? This is
But
what
they
we
have
vote.
to-
Well,
They're gonna have
after
to.
you get a direction for the architect,
Mhm,
then they spend months working on the drawings.
mhm. Yeah, no, I
And
get
then
the
you'll get an
process.
estimate.
Okay.
It's more accurate, but
Okay.
they have to, but you've got
Started.
those options, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And if we say option 3, then they will begin on that.
No,
Only.
not necessarily, because we are as an advisory group saying, what is in the best interest of the students?
Okay, if the board agrees with
Everybody
that,
would
yeah.
agree with
Right.
option 3.
That's,
So there's no,
Yeah.
if you're taking out the finances.
yeah.
So if you take out the finances and what you're looking at is what's in the best interest of the students,
Yeah.
it's option 3. That's it.
So it was essentially really never sort of a powwow of, are there other creative solutions or ideas that could happen here? It was always just, here are the 3 options, and your guys' sole task is to determine what is best for the children.
I certainly, in going into this, when we were giving the financial data, we were given that, we were given how the school's funded. My thought was we could examine that in the role of looking at these options. What they're saying in the correspondence that was sent was, no,
That's not your role.
that's not our role.
Right.
Our role is to determine what's the best educational option for the children based on the 3 options on the table. Well, that's option 3. I didn't have to go for 2 months of meetings to be able to figure that
I
out.
know, that's a
But-
tough call.
Why then did, 2 meetings ago, why did the superintendent sit here and give us some numbers for tax purposes when we're not even supposed to be discussing that?
Well,
So
I
he
think-
kind of, he's backtracked and
I'm
that's so
not-
wrong. I just,
Marvin, I agree with you, and I agree, why did that occur? But the board is going to take action on the first, basically agreeing with what Mark Tucker has said. And
yeah.
so therefore, and he said, Clayton basically says urge us to act immediately and not wait for formal board action. So I'm listening to what he's saying and I'm saying, let's just say it's, you know, option 3 is the best for the kids. That's all we're empowered to do.
So the only way that the people will actually ultimately have a say is on their vote. And otherwise.
Well,
In
there
any of
are
the
no,
options,
no,
it will be
no,
on the ballot.
Oh, yeah, but that's the only way.
It's when the
There
school
can't be
board
any-
decides what, you know, the final decision, and then they'll present it to the public.
Right.
The school board is the one, and he's saying the school board is responsible for bringing this stuff out, for educating people on the options and everything like that. And,
Yeah.
and I certainly thought that that was a function that we were going to be doing.
Yeah.
I thought a function that we were going to be doing was also looking at the finances and looking at that, because I certainly, when I tell people I'm doing this, they're immediately asking, how do we pay for this?
Right.
But the answer to that is, that's not our role. And I'm fine with the board saying that. I don't want people to think I'm just thinking that if I was going to be doing this, August 31st in our first meeting, I would have raised my hand and said, yeah, we should, new school's best for it. It's a slam dunk. And we wouldn't have had to meet for the last 2 months. I've learned a lot. I'm not saying it was wasting time for me,
Right.
but I'm saying there's no reason to continue. He's looking for formal action. Before that, well, we should take the formal action and say, yeah, the best option is option 3 for the kids. It may not be for the town.
But I think it also has to be very clear that, okay, option 3 is the best for the kids.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's it, for the
Very
kids.
clear.
There's
I think
no
that's
doubt.
changing.
I
It
mean,
gets an
Just
option,
a second, Rob.
it gets an option issue. I mean, it's a,
And tear down the school.
it's a strategy issue, okay? And it began with a much broader strategy of the group.
Yeah.
And it's been reduced now because it got a little bit out of hand, I guess, is kind of the observation.
I look.
And
I don't know that.
and as of today, it's the three options, and that's it. For our
Yeah.
group.
And I would
And
argue
I
that
agree.
I read the minutes on the October 5th meeting. It seemed like there were a lot of people, a lot of discussion, a lot of things. In my mind, that was a positive thing.
It was a
Whether
good
you
meeting.
agree or not, because you
Yes.
had a lot of people in here
Yep.
that were, whatever their viewpoint on everything, there was an opportunity to express it and also opportunity to learn. And in the letter, it seemed like, Mark Tucker was saying, well, we were backtracking, educating, but that was a positive thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we should have been.
I know.
But was that our role?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm
Right.
agreeing with you, but I was at the last meeting.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do that every single meeting, we're never gonna do it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not.
No, I know, I'm agreeing with you, but I don't know that our role wasn't to educate the community
doesn't-
apparently.
And it doesn't seem like there was necessarily clarity on the role from the get-go or what really the intention of the advisory board was, because it's also the town level of involvement for what are some creative ideas, what could we be doing, are these the only 3 options? Like, I guess that conversation is never going to happen, which just doesn't.
Well, it may-
We don't
No, it
know
is.
that it's
No, it
never
is.
gonna
More.
happen.
Yeah.
The
It's
school
just
board
gonna happen.
hasn't
That
even
ha-
had a meeting about this yet, so
Right.
rather
I
than
know, I was just at the
speculating on
earlier
what they're gonna
school
do,
board
we should
meetings.
let
But
them.
yeah,
I have no
I
problem,
understand
but
what
I
you're
have no
saying, yeah.
problem, but I think I'm basically saying we should stop. Wait for that vote. And then if there's something that they say we want us to do, then we can.
Then we'll do it. Yeah.
I'm
I agree.
kind of at that point.
Is having a school that people aren't willing to pay for the best for the kids.
That's not
It's not our job
That's
either.
not
That's
our
not our
job.
job.
What's the best
Yeah.
educational option?
It doesn't.
That's
matter
another
what it
question.
costs.
And we were examining that question,
It's
but
so
that's not what we're
narrow.
being told we should be doing. So it's different.
It doesn't matter what it costs.
Okay.
For
It
us.
does.
For
I'm not
us.
So
wrong.
for
It
us,
does.
yeah.
Yes, right,
Right.
right. For our decision-making purposes,
It doesn't.
with what we were
So that
tasked
was
to
like
do.
completely pointless.
It's
I don't
not,
think this
I
was
don't think it was.
pointless. I
not.
think for 2 months we've
No,
been
we've had
talking
some-
about this. And I wouldn't take back the 2 months.
That's good.
I would certainly agree that I've learned quite a bit about different things going on, and I'm glad it was part of this.
Mhm.
But going forward, if the board formally acts, and I get where you're coming from, that we haven't been told this yet. That's true, and I think that's valid. But I'm saying that we should stop what we're doing. Let the board have their meeting, formalize what they say we're supposed to be doing. And then if this changes, we can come back and they say.
I didn't mean that we shouldn't. I meant that like we don't. Someone mentioned the board isn't going to involve community input. We don't know that yet.
No, I think they will.
I think they will too. So I'm just saying. I'm saying we shouldn't say, "Oh, the board's not going to involve the community." I'm sure they will. What I'm saying is that we should just let them decide what they're going to do, and they can give us a task.
And if they choose to say, "Well, we're going to take charge of it," that's their right as board members. They've been elected by the town to make these decisions. We have been appointed by the board to advise.
Right.
And I know we never were going to make a decision. I was never in doubt of that.
To that end, and much to my dismay, because I dove a lot into education funding and taxes, I answered
you did a good job.
Mr. Fenoff's question. We actually pay way lower taxes than a lot of other people around us. We're actually doing really well. And Act 127 is going to have an incredible impact on this community as well.
And that's in January?
Yeah, so that's actually already enacted and will be enacted by 2024 in full. And so it actually makes this a lot more attractive, option 3. But I guess we can talk about that at school board meetings. I even brought all the spreadsheet and stuff too. I just didn't tell you.
So my feeling is I would like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting pending whatever decision the school board makes on November 1st as to whatever role we should have coming forward.
Do you want to go to bat with the recommendation of option 3 with the caveat of demolishing the entirety of the school?
I would say if you're looking at the best educational opportunity for the children, there is no other option that even comes close than building a new school. That doesn't mean that that's the option the town should choose.
Right.
That's the option that we have been tasked in this of saying, that's it. And there's really, if that's our only task, there's no other reason for us to meet.
Well, that's our job description.
Right
now it is.
Right now.
As of today, that is our job.
That's our job. And I'm not,
I think it's part of the.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just to sort of circumvent all this. I think what I want to do, since I'll be giving that message to the board, I'd like to just take a straw poll real quick on this is what I'm going to say what I'm hearing here, and if you guys agree, we'll take a straw poll on that, and then we can go from there. So as I hear it, we would like some clarification on the role of this group, but given the superintendent's instruction to only consider what would be best educationally for the kids, the obvious answer for us is option 3, a new school, with the caveat of actually demolishing the entirety of the existing school. However, that is without considering any financial implications of such.
Yep.
Right.
So is everybody, would just say, is there, just show of hands, everybody okay with that?
On the advisory.
Everybody on the advisory.
I will abstain.
Everybody on the advisory group can vote.
Okay, so that's a consensus.
Sean, you can vote too.
So sorry, they said that they were going to hang on to the brick building out here, and that wasn't going to be. I don't know if you guys.
That was the caveat that we discussed before and agreed upon. Yep. We had discussed before doing like a monument, that type of thing. So with that, I have a message to go back to the board. We could stay and talk, or we can adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Can we? So can you two abstain? Does everybody else agree?
Yes.
Everybody.
And Sean. Okay.
And Sean. Yes.
The only other request I would ask of the board is if you have any other job description for us to do, let us know.
Yes, I agree with that too.
I agree.
Okay, we have a good group.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And we've got some awfully good experts in the group, financial and everything else. And so,
Yeah, we've certainly put in a lot of work.
Randy.
and let's,
I've enjoyed this, and I've also enjoyed understanding this more and stuff. When I got this, okay.
Yeah. Randy, you had a question?
I was just wondering before we adjourn, do we owe it to anybody up there to speak,
Oh.
or?
Sean or Peter, do you have anything to say?
No, but thank you for letting us be part of the conversation and hearing what you're talking about.
Well, then I think that's it.
Yep.
For Wednesday night.
Okay.
I hope everybody has a wonderful evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
And you know, there might be.
We will.
We'll have to wait till the school board meeting to figure that out.
We'll decide. Yeah, we did not set a future date for that reason. Because if they said that's it, that's all we wanted. No more meetings.
Yeah.